Nerdy is defined as someone characterized by an obsessive interest in something. Xbox, Marvel, technology, D&D, Lord of the Rings, escape rooms, Pokemon, Funko Pop, Star Wars, PlayStation, comic books, Magic the Gathering, Nintendo, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers. All of that is Tech D-Rob, host of the Nerd News Podcast, your source for everything nerdy.
I realize you guys are all nerds.
And this is the Nerd News Podcast.
Welcome to a special edition of the Nerd News Podcast. This is a Thursday edition, simply because in the following weeks from now, we are on vacation the first week after this, and then that Tuesday after that is July 4th. So we're just going to do the Nerd News Podcast twice this week, Tuesday edition and a Thursday edition. The Nerd News Podcast, again, is sponsored by Catch My Drift and their upcoming Sofa King awesome event, July 1st and 2nd at the Southern National Motorsports Park in Lucama, North Carolina. You can go ride in a drift car. It's going to go sideways, going to burn some rubber. It'll be a whole lot of fun. And among that, there are so many other awesome things. Like on Saturday, they've got fireworks, a slip and slide, food, music, and a car show. They've even got a playground on site, so it's family friendly. Sunday is the big competition, though, sponsored by KBD Body Kits and Fuel Tech, along with some giveaways. And one of those giveaways is a $1,500 cash giveaway. You don't want to miss it. Get your tickets now at cmdrift.com and make sure you get them soon because they will sell out because they always do. So it's fun for the whole family at the Catch My Drift Sofa King awesome event. And yes, there will be a couch burning. A sofa, you get the idea. I've only just started to tell you of all the fun events going on that weekend, so just go check it out for yourself. Go to cmdrift.com to buy tickets and get more information. Again, that's cmdrift.com. So, the Nerd News Podcast, like I've been saying, it's a double dose for those of you who are just hankering for more nerd news. No, really, I just didn't want to go a full 2-week span with not having something for you to know. So let's get into the quick hits. Essentially, these are the quick hits for the time that we're gone. So bear with me as I tell you dates rather than days. Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed single player out June 27th. Also June 27th is Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life. That's on next gen Xbox and PlayStation. The previous game, Destroy All Humans 2, is on previous gen Xbox and PlayStation. AEW's Fight Forever is on current and next-gen PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, PC, and that is on June 29th. And also on June 29th is the Lara Croft collection for Switch. Crime O'Clock is out June 30th on Switch and PC. Everybody 1-2 Switch on June 30th as well for the Switch. That's the sequel to the game called 1-2 Switch. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective on previous gen consoles along with Switch and PC on June 30th. Goodbye World on current and next gen Xbox and PlayStation. That's on June 30th as well. Master Detective Archives Rain Code on Switch on June 30th. And then a little further into the time away, July 6th, Gylt, Gylt on current and next gen Xbox and PC. And Xbox and PlayStation and PC. And then The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie on current and next-gen PlayStation, Switch, and PC. And that is on July 7th. All right, so digitally, on June 27th, we have Evil Dead Rise. I saw it. It's okay. I gave you the review of that a couple weeks ago in the Nerd News Podcast. It was not bad. Digitally, The Blackening is out July 7th. I really hope to see that. It looks like a good horror movie. It looks pretty funny. And then theatrical releases on June 30th, we have Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, which is a DreamWorks movie that just kind of snuck into the schedule. And Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny. Now, I've heard mixed things, but mostly bad, which is a shame because the other Indiana Jones movies are just so much better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and this one looks like it's ranking with that one. So it's just unfortunate. And then the week after, on July 7th, we have Insidious: The Red Door, which is obviously a sequel to Insidious, and I'm very excited about that, along with Joyride, which I know nothing about. I have no idea what that is. So, when we return, I'll talk to you about my newest nerdy purchase, and we'll talk about the Nintendo Direct, and of course, the new Marvel hotness, Secret Invasion. Now, I won't give too many details as it literally came out yesterday. And who almost played Joel in The Last of Us? We'll find out when we return to the Nerd News Podcast, sponsored by Catch My Drift. Go to cmdrift.com to get tickets for their event in Lucama, North Carolina, July 1st and 2nd. So cmdrift.com.
At TechD_Rob on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. More Nerd News Podcast next. Follow TechD_Rob on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. At TechD_Rob. This is the Nerd News Podcast.
Welcome back to the Nerd News Podcast. I'm in a different studio than usual. I'm not at my house today recording, simply because I've got a lot to do today, and it's easier to work in an office for me than it is to work from home. So I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to work on some vacation stuff because, like I said, we are out next week and July 3rd and 4th. So again, no new Nerd News next Tuesday or the Tuesday after. It'll return a week from whatever date, like the 11th, I think, maybe July 11th. I don't know. But anyway, let's get back into the nerd news stuff. So the Nintendo Direct happened yesterday, and there was some cool stuff shown. Like they had a new expansion for Scarlet and Violet called The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, which is cool. Sonic Superstars is another a new 2D Sonic game. Palia is a game that was announced that I don't know anything about. Detective Pikachu Returns, the sequel to Detective Pikachu. Very excited about that. Super Mario RPG is getting a remake to be on the Switch, normally for the Nintendo 64. Very excited about that. Never played it, but I've heard great things. But unfortunately, it is $59.99 for a brand new it's a brand new game when we all know they didn't change that much about it. There is Princess Peach game coming out. It's a 2D, 2.5D is what they're calling it. So they didn't give very many details, but it's coming. It's on the way as well. Luigi's Mansion 2 is getting remastered from the DS, or maybe it was 3DS. I can't remember which one that was on, but it's being remastered to bring it to the Switch. Batman Arkham, the trilogy, is coming to Nintendo Switch, along with Gloomhaven, which if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you would know that I'm a huge fan of Gloomhaven. I beat the original board game of Gloomhaven. I am working on Frosthaven right now with my cousin, and it's just I've played the PC version of Gloomhaven. Now, that being said, a Gloomhaven console edition of a game doesn't sound good. Sounds like a very bad idea. But we'll see. They announced Just Dance 2024. I mean, we all saw that coming. A new expansion for Mario plus Rabbids Spark of Hope. More information on Pikmin 4, which comes out in July. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, which is Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. And then Vampire Survivors. WarioWare Move It has some expansions. And finally, the one that I'm most interested in is Super Mario Bros. Wonder, a new 2D platforming Mario title. And they teased a new Mario transformation type thing. You know, when you get the fire flower, you turn into fire spitting Mario. You get the feather, you turn into Tanuki suit Mario, and so on and so forth. This one has a new item that turns you into Elephant Mario, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's the Nintendo Direct in a nutshell. There's obviously, if you want more information on any of these things, you can find it online. But I gave you the extra information on most of these things that I thought were interesting. So it was a pretty packed one. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry about that. It is it's late in the day for me, so let's try that. Let's continue. I recently purchased a 3D printer. Me and my cousin split the cost. It was on sale. It's an Ender 2 Pro. Normally almost $200. We got it for $100. So I was very, that was the number one reason I jumped into it, because I've been looking into them. And I don't know much about them, to be completely honest with you. It was kind of like I was trying to do a skilled job, like flying a plane without any sort of guidance, or, I mean, obviously that's a little extreme. Flying a plane can be disastrous if you don't know what you're doing, but it felt similar on like a lack of knowledge scale. But I went and I started printing something and it didn't work. I looked it up some things, but now overnight I printed a 7-hour print of a dice tower for my D&D games. So it was about this tall. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. About that tall, about that wide. It had 2 little slats that I printed to go in it. But it came out beautiful. So I think I'm getting the hang of it. Can't wait to print some more things soon. Maybe that's what most of my vacation is going to be doing. No, that's not true. Because let's see, Tuesday through Friday of next week, I'll be in Charleston. So, never mind. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. I've also started watching, not rewatching, because I've never seen the extended edition of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So the Fellowship of the Ring, I finished it. I'm about an hour left in the Two Towers. I plan to watch it and Return of the King soon, because I was very excited about the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering set. And I felt like I didn't know enough of the lore, because it's been so long since I've watched a Lord of the Rings movie that I don't remember. I may have been a child, because some of these things I don't remember at all, like when I see them. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's very, very, it looks, and for a movie that is that old, it looks fantastic. 2001 was when Fellowship of the Ring came out, and they filmed all of them at the same time to release them, one after the other, year after year. And in doing so, they had to work probably into the 90s when this started being made. And the effects, obviously mostly not virtual effects, but there are some virtual effects, a good number. But a lot of the practical effects look great, which practical effects always looked great they have for a long time. But the virtual effects still hold up pretty well today. I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and he said that the company WetaWorks, which is like an effects company, did some groundbreaking effects for this that we probably just no movies gonna have this scale for maybe ever, and that's a little disappointing. Because I mean, and it's because all the pressure all these movie companies are under to get these movies out as quick as possible. They put these virtual effects people in such a time crunch that they have to bid on these things, and they have to work under extreme long condition hours, not extremely long hours, bad working conditions, and as a result, if you don't go fast, you're not the company that's going to get it, and the competition is fierce, and that is bringing up less and less good looking virtual effects because it has to be done so quickly for these things. So it's unfortunate, but it is still a beautiful movie 20 plus years later. But highly recommend you check it out if you've never seen the extended edition. I just jumped into those. Word of warning, they're over 3 hours long. The last one being over 4 hours. Straight up over 4 hours. It's wild. So yeah, The Lord of the Rings, the extended edition. So who was almost Joel? Well, I don't know if that was almost, but the Craig Mazin, the showrunner of The Last of Us, said that he spoke to Matthew McConaughey about being Joel. Now, I'm sure he would have done a good job, but I just can't picture Matthew McConaughey being Joel. It just doesn't fit for him, but it would have been interesting to see at the very least. Anyway, so Secret Invasion started yesterday on Disney Plus. If you're not familiar with Secret Invasion, it's about the Skrulls, which we were first introduced to in Miss Marvel. And they've been sprinkled in here and there throughout the series, the multiple series that we've seen. It's been sprinkled in there and the movies as well. But this is a close in tone to a Captain America movie. It doesn't get very light. It's not like a Thor movie where it's lighthearted and still there are serious beats. This is all serious. All business is the Secret Invasion movie. And, it includes Samuel L. Jackson. He's back from space. It includes Kobe Smulders as Maria Hill. The guy who played in The Hobbit, whose name escapes me, is John Ross. Martin Freeman. Martin Freeman's back. Among other faces you might know from this other Marvel stuff, but most notably, newcomer to the Marvel MCU, Emilia Clarke. And how can I forget it? Ben Mendelsohn is back as Talos. Or Talos. I don't know how you pronounce it, to be honest with you. But Ben Mendelsohn is back. Just as great as ever. He's such an incredible actor. But the show is very serious, and I loved it. I think it's only a 6-episode series, so by the time we have another Nerd News podcast, we'll be probably over halfway through, and I will give you more information about it then. But I will say a lot of people online are not happy about the opening sequence of Secret Invasion because it was made with AI. Now, with all this issue that I was just talking about with virtual effects artists, with Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, this is probably a result of that. Simply put, this will probably be a lot more prevalent going forward in the world. AI, while helpful and can make someone's job easier, clearly can also take over jobs for people, and that is the scary part. I mean, I like AI to an extent, but I do have concerns about the future with AI. It could get too strong, too good at what it does. We'll see. But anyway, that's the Extra Nerd News podcast for this week. I tried not to, like, when I was recording the first one, I was like, I don't want to cut anything out of this one just to put it in the next one. So that's why it's a little bit shorter than Tuesday's edition, because I felt I wanted to get everything I could into that one that I knew already. And I knew I'd have stuff to talk about in this one. So thank you for joining me on the Nerd News Podcast. Again, sponsored by CM Drift. Catch My Drift. Their event, the Sofa King Awesome event in Lucama, North Carolina, July 1st and July 2nd, the weekend there. Go to cmdrift.com to get tickets and information. cmdrift.com. I will see you, it'll be a while, for the next Nerd News Podcast. July 11th, I think. I'll see you then.
That's it for this week's Nerd News Podcast. Follow TechD-Rob on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at TechD_Rob. Subscribe now. More nerd news next week.